The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Jesus made the disciples get into a boat and precede him to the other side of the sea while he dismissed the crowds. After doing so, he went up the mountain by himself to pray. When it was evening, he was there alone, and meanwhile the boat, already a few miles offshore, was being tossed about by the waves, for the wind was against it. And during the fourth watch of the night, he came toward them walking on the sea. When the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were terrified. "It is a ghost," they said, and they cried out in fear. At once Jesus spoke to them, "Take courage, it is I, do not be afraid." Peter said to him in reply, "Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water." He said, "Come." Peter got out of the boat and began to walk on the water toward Jesus. But when he saw how strong the wind was, he became frightened, and beginning to sink, he cried out, "Lord, save me." Immediately Jesus stretched out his hand and caught him and said to him, "O you of little faith, why did you doubt?" After they got into the boat, the wind died down. Those who were in the boat did him homage, saying, "Truly, you are the Son of God." After making the crossing, they came to land at Gennesaret. When the men of that place recognized him, they sent word to all the surrounding country, and people brought to him all those who were sick and begged him that they might touch only the tassel on his cloak. And as many as touched, they were healed. My dear friends, the Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. Please be seated.
Kahit naman sinong tao siguro kapag nakakita ng isang tao rin na naglalakad sa ibabaw ng tubig ay hindi lang magugulat, talaga matatakot. No? Kaya nga parang doon sa Ebanghelyong binasa, ang sabi ko, "Lord, what do you expect?" No? People do not usually walk on water. They walk on solid ground. Because on water, we sink. But on solid ground, at least we stand firm. That's the usual, and that's the normal. Kaya natatakot tayo kapag merong something na out of the ordinary. My dear friends, the gospel that we read today is very interesting. The exchanges between Jesus and then the apostles, and then the event, no? Kapag ka-imaginein mo kung ano yung nagaganap, yung mga kaganapan, napaka-visual, no? Napaka-dramatic, no? Ng nagaganap. No? But it reveals to us so many things about our fear and about our courage. It reveals to us kung ano yung kadalasang kinatatakutan natin at kung ano yung dahilan kung bakit tayo natatakot. And it also reveals how the Lord restores our courage. And more importantly, it reveals how we, on our part, can again recover that courage. Una, ano kadalasan yung kinatatakutan? Sometime in the gospel, it points to us that we are usually afraid of the unusual, of the not in the ordinary. Kaya nga sabi ko kanina, kapag naman kahit na sino, kakita ka naglalakad sa ibabaw ng tubig, kung hindi ka mamangha, talagang kakabahan ka. Ano to? No? Ano to? No? Out of the ordinary, we are not used to that. And sometimes kinatatakutan. We're also afraid when things are not within our control. Di ba? Kaya nga in the gospel, when they already felt the strong winds buffeting the boat, shaking the boat. Hindi ito yung usual. We are not in control. Ganon din naman sa buhay natin. When we feel that we are no longer in control, kinakabahan tayo. Pagka aking pa lang, paubos na yung sweldo, kinakabahan na tayo. Pagka hindi pa dumarating ang inyong mga anak, alas 8 na ng gabi, ano na kaya nangyari? Kinakabahan kayo. Pagka hindi pa umuwi yung asawa, kinakabahan rin ba kayo? So kapag hindi tayo in control, yan din ang isang source ng ating kaba, ng ating takot. Bakit? Sapagkat we're so used to being in control. Kaya kapag may mga pagkakataon na yinuyugyug yung pundasyon ng pagiging in control natin, we're not used to it. We're not used to it. We're like those apostles in the boat being buffeted by the wind, tossed to and fro, at walang magawa. Kaya nakakakaba. No? Kapag in control tayo, there is still a semblance na kaya pa to. Pero the moment that we're no longer in control, it's really scary. In the gospel, it also shows that human as we are, we have this momentary flash of courage. Kaya nga, in the gospel, one of the apostles said, "If it is you, Lord, let me come to you." We have that. And that's also something that is very beautiful about human as we are. We have that courage. But in the fastest way that we are able to flash that courage, ganun din minsan kabilis mawala yung courage na yun. Di ba yung sa binasa nating Ebanghelyo, The apostle went to the Lord and then said, "Lord, if it is you, let me come to you." Simple lang, sabi ng Panginoon, "Come." And then we started walking on the water also with the same courage, And then we realized that the ground underneath our feet continues to move, continues to shake. And again, we remember. We remember how fleeting our courage are, and we begin to sing. Very familiar? Yes, because we are again in that state, and that stage wherein mukhang gumagalaw na naman yung kinatitindigan natin. And again, we realize that we are not in control. And it seems to be that we are sinking. But do not be afraid, yung kwento hindi pa tapos. Ito yung maganda sa tao, hindi basta-basta bumibigay. So when the apostle was already sinking, he had the courage again to call out, "Lord, save me." And that was what was very important in the exchanges. The courage to call to God and to ask for help. And help, again, was there immediately. Akapit and pulled out of the water. Nakakatuwa yung words galing sa Panginoon. Naman pinapunta na nga kita nawala pa na yung courage mo. Why did you doubt? Di ba? Yun lang naman yung sinabi ng Panginoon doon sa apostol Why did you doubt? Siguro umiiling-iling ng konti. Why did you doubt? But at the same time, andun yung kamay to pull out of that water. Familiar? Very familiar. Close to home? Very close to home. because of what we are going through again right now at this very moment. The ground is again moving. We are not again in control. But how do we recover our strength? How do we remind ourselves of that courage? How do we again call to God? Yung kwento. Come, no matter how the movement of the ground underneath your feet, I will be there. And if you're sinking, again I will be there. And what we're going to hear from the Lord ay, naman, why did you doubt? Today, it's all right to be afraid. Because it's all right to be afraid because we have a God who will always have His hand reaching out. But hopefully, we are also again learning from the experiences that we have. The ground will continue to move. Uncertainty will always be there. The winds will grow stronger and stronger and stronger. But we have a God who will stay the boat. We have a God who will reach out His hand. Whenever we're sinking, He will always remind us, I am here. It is I. Do not be afraid.